Hey guys, welcome back to Tasha Personified. Let me just tell you this, in a matter of hours, our life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, and I'll tell you how I became the princess of a home repair. So you guys ready for this story time, right? So it was about a week ago. It was a Saturday. We went to church. We left the house maybe around 11 o'clock, maybe a little after, on our way to church. After church, we had plans to go to a friend's house for kind of like a potluck, and then later on that evening, we were going to have a game night. So it was like an all-day thing. So we probably left the house around 10 p.m., headed home. And we pull into the driveway. Well, my husband wanted to back in, so we kind of got out so it's easier for him. And my daughters came to the house first through the garage door. And next thing I know, they're like running back out of the garage door. So I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And my older daughter was just like, I heard something. And my younger daughter, she was just running because my older daughter was running. So what do you mean you heard something? So I'm like, okay, my husband's still backing up. So I'm like, let me just go ahead and check it out. Turn the lights on. And I go to hear this sound as well, and I realize it's the sound of dripping water. Never a good sound. Not like the dripping water that comes from a sink, but like dripping water from a ceiling type of dripping, right? So I look a little further and I see that there's water coming through the light fixture. Water is dripping through buckets here. Also in the office. In the den. And I'm like, okay. The only place that water can come through right there would be the upstairs bathroom and the girls' bathroom. So I'm like, oh no. So I go upstairs. Sure enough, when I walk into their bathroom, there's probably about 3 inches of water pooling just in the floor. And I see water just pouring out of under the rim of the toilet, just pouring out. I'm like, okay, great. Like, it's like, so I hated the fact that my husband came in. I'm like, we got an issue. The toilet's overflowing. Let's get to work. So I immediately kind of went downstairs, got towels, and just said, come on, everybody, put towels in. We need to get this water up off the floor, because I knew we didn't want as much of it continuing to soak on the floor. So we did that. Then we got the shop back. So we were all kind of going to work trying to clean up this moisture and stuff. And after all of those efforts, it was like, okay, it's time to call the insurance company, right? So we called them, and anytime it's talking about water, they don't waste any time. And shout out to State Farm. That's who we have. They were out here the next day. So I got to kind of show you guys what it looked like. I'll try to incorporate some video of what it looked like before they came, and then what they had to do to kind of mitigate the water. So here is the water coming down to the basement. Not just here, but also over there. So when we came home on Monday, we realized, oh, this is some serious business. I mean, the fans were going, and you saw the fans were going, and it was just like a whole wind tunnel experience. But that's what they had to do to make sure they're drying everything. They don't want any mold to be in the house, and neither do we. I was so surprised to see that they had removed the toilet completely. They had moved the vanity from the wall. They had taken the floor up completely in the girls' bathroom, and they had kind of torn out the padding underneath the carpet, and they had fans and stuff going everywhere. It was like, okay, that's when it kind of got real that this is a project. And it wasn't just this second level, it was the main level and also in the basement. Water was dripping. So it was good to see that the water finally stopped dripping. But one thing about water is it saturates and it travels. So that's why it required cutting open things and having the ceiling exposed. And those fans literally ran from Sunday to Friday. Okay? So my husband and I were literally what I call on punishment. We would come home, make ourselves something to eat, and then go to the room and close the door immediately because the sound is just so all-encompassing. It just made you feel uneasy. Like I was literally getting anxiety from hearing that fan. So yeah, that's where we are. And so now we're at that process of trying to now decide, not us decide, but getting an estimate of what the insurance company will cover. I'll kind of walk you through what they shared with me in terms of the damage that was done, and we'll take it step by step. All right, guys, so we are on the second level, and you can already see how this part was all saturated, which is why it's very discolored. They had all these machinery up here, so that got damaged. But this is the scene of the crime, right? So this is the bathroom, the girls' bathroom, where the toilet was just overflowing. Something was going on with it. It wasn't acting right earlier in the day, but it was never overflowing. It was just not flushing properly. So something must have tripped after we left the house that caused it to just continue to flow out. So they removed all the flooring in here. As you can see, the vanity. So of course they plan to replace the floors, replace the toilet, replace the vanity, and paint this whole room. So that's the extent of what State Farm is going to cover, as well as you can see, like I said, about the carpet, because the whole landing was impacted. Well, not the whole landing, but this area, they have to replace the carpet, the whole, and the kitchen, and the steps on the carpet all around here. So they'll be doing that. Also, my youngest daughter's room was impacted, as you can see, so they will cover the cost of repairing her flooring. Now, with the guest bedroom and my other daughter's room and our bedroom over there, they are not going to cover that, right? But if you know me, you know that I wanted to replace the flooring throughout the house. So we're going to see how much it would cost if they would just continue with that. I'll share some ideas about what I'd like to do. But let's stick with what they're going to cover. So this is the main level, what they're going to cover. And, oh, I forgot this part. They're also going to cover the painting of this whole landing area. And this is all the stuff from like under the sink. So all of this is going to be gone, even from right here all the way down to the next level. All of this paint is going to be replaced, which is such a blessing, and I'll talk about that a little later. But we're excited about that because we're tired of this paint color. All right, so this is the second level. Let's go down. So now we're downstairs, and you can start to see, let me turn the light on, where the water was dripping. There was no water, I wouldn't say dripping because it didn't drip here. I guess it pooled. Nothing dripped down here at all. But there was drippage here, water here coming. That's where the water was pouring out onto the carpet here. You can see where it was coming in, and you see all around there as well. So this is where they were drying out everything. You saw that. This is the office. I did come in here and take down some of the paint, some of the artwork. Let me show you guys that now. And then this is how I left it. I kind of wanted to set up the office a little bit so we could still use it during this process. But also this carpet was impacted because water was pouring in, as you can see from the ceiling up here. And they had to cut it out to dry it out as well. Wanted no moisture. And so this is also the flooring that they will replace. Obviously the ceiling, and then they will paint this room. So this is what they will cover, the repairs. And you see all of that water. Because this is the area right beneath the bathroom, it was one of the most impacted, okay? So, and then you can see how the water is kind of bumped out right there. See how it bumped out the, yeah, and you see it all around here too. Water is something else, man. So yeah, so they're gonna paint all of this. Like I said, I showed you it from the upstairs. So this level will be painted all around here. And also because the ceiling has to be painted and repaired and painted, now they have to extend through the kitchen. So all the ceiling will be painted, nothing else in the kitchen. As he explained to me, anything that's continuous. So because this is going to be repaired and this is part of it, they have to paint the whole thing because obviously you will be able to tell the difference. So this is the second level. Let's make our way down to the basement now. All right, so I was so surprised. I actually came down here to get the towels when I realized that water was dripping down here. And so we had several buckets. They moved things out of the way. They had a lot going on down here. So they cut out the sheetrock. Everything you see exposed is what they cut out. They actually cut out more down here than they did anywhere else. So the only thing they'll have to do down here, which they could describe as easy, was just replace the sheetrock because that's the only thing that was really damaged. The water was falling into the buckets and into the cement floor, which is not an issue. So that's the extent of what they'll be doing down here in the basement. But this is three levels of damage. Yeah. So with all of that being said, I have to say that our family kind of embraced this as experience of life, right? And of course, initially we were like, oh my gosh, water. It was late. We were ready to go to bed. But we quickly transitioned into just resolution mode and contacting the insurance company and having them come out kind of almost immediately, like the next day. It put our minds at ease. And I'm kind of that mindset now that I'm always looking for the silver lining or the blessing in some type of discomfort. And it wasn't really hard for me to see it this time. One, we've always talked about replacing the carpet because the carpet here has been in the home since the previous owners have had it. So we've been here almost 8 years and they owned the house maybe 6 years before we moved into it. So this carpet has been here for a while and I've always wanted laminate throughout. So I'm like, God, is this your way of saying, okay, I'm tired of you talking about that laminate. How about we just speed this process up, right? So I'm like, this is now an opportunity where, you know, we get to replace what the insurance company will cover, but maybe this will help us with doing the rest of the house. So that's a possibility. We still don't have those numbers, so we will see. But I'm seeing that as a possible opportunity. Also with the landing, when we got this color, which is kind of a pinkish color, we were really trying to find something that's neutral, but that still added a little pop of color. But it turned out to be way more pink than we thought. But we decided to live with it because it's such it's a large amount of space, and just the thought of trying to get someone to paint it again, especially with the tall walls, was just like, is it really even worth it? So now knowing that that is also going to be painted is like, wow, we're actually getting our wish with that. Even though it doesn't look directly impacted, it is enough for us to have that done. So I'm really happy about that. And one of the things one of the mitigation guys said to us was that, oh, since the ceiling is open in the office, you could even see if you can add recessed lighting, which is great because there's a switch there. Now we wouldn't have to like turn on the lamp. We could just turn on the switch and lighting would be in there. So it's just opening up opportunities to maybe get some of the things we wanted to do in the house, but we're kind of putting off, and then getting some financial assistance with it. I mean, it's a big inconvenience, don't get me wrong. But in the midst of the inconvenience, it's also opening up possibilities. And I like new things. I was just telling someone today, I love the beginning of New Year's, fresh starts, anything like that. So I've just been invigorated by this thing. Now I'm like, oh, now that we have the paint, let me take things out the wall. So I started with the office. I'm going to do this area here, even though they won't be able to start for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I just kind of want to go ahead and prepare and start envisioning what it could be. And looking at this as kind of like a home reset. So since, we started off with Tasha Hewitt Homes and we like talking about home stuff, and also this is Tasha Personify, and this is really what my life is right now. I decided it would be kind of cool to take you guys on our little home renovation journey. But all in all, it's life. That's why it's so important to have insurance. And it's also important to count your blessings in the midst of things that go wrong, whether it's in your home or in life. Trust me, if you look hard enough, sometimes you'll be able to find how that bad thing can turn into something good, possibly. So anyway, that's our lives right now. So join us on the journey as we kind of prepare for the home renovation, but also look into some of the things, whether it's the paint color, securing the flooring that we're going to want. Of course, I want your advice on all of that. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next step in this journey. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Thanks, everyone.